Let's bring in Annie Linskey now. She's the national political reporter for the Boston Globe newspaper. Annie, thanks.
Hi. Good to
Politically,
be here.
where are we now?
Look, I think that, at the end of the day here, what Comey really did deliver the Clinton campaign is an enormous gift. The gift is that we're not talking about an indictment and criminal charges. And at this point, that is what would have halted her campaign and made it extraordinarily complicated. The other sort of sub-gift, if you will, that Comey gave her is the timing of this. This announcement comes out after the primaries are over, when Bernie Sanders is not going to make hay about it, and before convention. So sure, it does halt momentum, and we're all talking about it this week, but this is not a week where people are paying a lot of attention to the details. Now, the details are pretty ugly. So for your viewers who are paying attention and people who care about this, these details are awful. But the large majority of people, because of the timing on this, for July week, aren't going to be listening to anything other than the headline, which is no criminal indictment.
Annie, from the beginning, some Clinton supporters suggested that there were gifts for both sides here. Specifically, the early talk was, Annie, that, and it's true in the course of my covering of prosecutors, often prosecutors say, there is enough to move forward, I recommend yes, or there isn't enough to move forward, I recommend no, and leave it at that. In this case, there were more specifics, and I've heard some suggest that was maybe a gift to the people.
Yeah, I think that is one way that Comey's argument has been described as he's saying, look, the people get to decide because they get to vote in November. And I think that makes a lot of sense. But again, it does mean that people need to pay attention and watch that 15-minute speech, essentially, that he gave. And, it wouldn't surprise me if it's played in its entirety at the RNC convention, because it was that, it was that gripping, and he said it in such a sort of clear, matter-of-fact way that he built this pretty convincing case, particularly on the idea that this top secret information on her server may have been accessed by what he described as foreign or hostile actors. But again, the headline is still no indictment, and the headline is still her campaign continues and lives another day.
What are you expecting tomorrow? A hearing on Capitol Hill.
Oh, I think tomorrow it's beginning to launch into a little bit more of the posturing. I mean, this is, looking into these details that if you care about it and you're paying attention, I can't imagine that we're going to learn a lot more new information from Comey, but he's so good in these circumstances. He was on Capitol Hill a few years ago and testified and sort of gripping details about his experience with Attorney General Ashcroft and Andy Card, and he's able to tell these wonderful stories, and so I think that he's a good performer. So I think that will be something that we'll all focus on, but I can't imagine that there's going to be anything that comes out of that is going to substantially change the narrative that established yesterday.
Annie Linskey, it's great to see you again. Thank you.
Great to see you too.